I'm Morgan, and I'm here with Andrea Sequin, the Director of Compliance at Schneider. And today we're just talking about how many hours can a truck driver drive. We'll be focusing on the DOT regulations, and we'll also be touching on the 8-2 splits. Thanks for joining me, Andrea. So the first question, just a big overview, a general question. How many hours can a truck driver drive?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Specifically, a truck driver can drive 11 hours in a shift.
Okay.
That is their maximum allowable drive time.
Okay. So I know there are obviously a lot of DOT regulations that go on top of that. Can you start by talking a little bit about the 11-hour rule?
Sure. So as I mentioned, 11 hours is the maximum drive time allowed for a commercial driver in a shift. So between one break and the next break, they can accumulate a total of 11 hours of drive time.
Okay. And then the 14-hour rule?
Yeah, so the 14-hour rule is the maximum period in which those 11 hours can occur. A lot of people say a truck driver can work 14 hours. They actually can work 24 hours. The key is once 14 hours have gone by from when they started their day, they cannot drive anymore. That's really the key. So it's 11 hours of drive inside of the 14-hour shift.
Okay. So then can you tell me a little bit about the rules for the 30-minute break?
Yeah, so the 30-minute rest break is one of the newer rules. And essentially what it says is after a driver has reached the 8th hour of their day, so 8 hours after they began their shift, they must spend 30 minutes off duty or in the sleeper before they drive again.
Okay. And what about the 70-hour rule?
Yeah, so the 70-hour rule is actually a week rule, which essentially says in an 8-day period, a driver can work a grand total of 70 hours. And those 70 hours are anytime driving and anytime on duty not driving. Those count towards the cumulative 70-hour clock that occurs over that 8-day period.
Okay. And how about a 34-hour reset?
Yeah, so we just talked about the 70-hour rule. So the 70-hour rule, again, 8 days, you're constantly counting back. What resets that clock altogether is if you take 34 hours off duty consecutively, it will reset the 70-hour clock.
Okay. And then a 10-hour break.
So the DOT requires 10 hours off duty in between shifts. We at Schneider do a 10-hour off duty, and that essentially begins your 11 hours of driving over again the next shift.
Okay. And then you kind of hear about the 8-2 split. Can you explain that for me?
Yeah, so the rules do allow for that 10-hour break to be taken in a 2-hour and 8-hour duration. So essentially you split the 10-hour break. You can also actually do 9 and 1. So 9 and 1, 8 and 2, or just a full 10-hour break.
Okay, and are drivers at Schneider allowed to do that?
We do not typically do 8 and 2 split at Schneider. We typically train and have our drivers do just the full 10-hour break at the end of shift.
Okay, that's good to know. Now that we've kind of gone over the DOT regulations, we have some additional questions that we often hear from truck drivers that I would like to go over. So the first one is, how many hours can a team truck driver drive?
Yeah, so actually a team is 2 solo drivers together. So their rules are the same individually as a solo driver. So they both get 11 hours of driving per shift.
Okay, so there's nothing different about a team truck driver versus solo.
Essentially, the difference is one of your partners is usually sleeping and getting that 10-hour break while the truck continues to roll, using the other driver's 11 hours of drive time.
Okay, perfect. And then how many miles can a truck driver drive in a day?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Simple math would say 11 hours of driving. If you're in an ungoverned truck, 70-mile-hour interstate, you could do 770 miles. The likelihood that you're going to immediately get on a 70-hour interstate and stay on it for 11 straight hours, not likely. So the number depends on the individual, what they're comfortable at, what their truck is governed at, where they're operating. There is no black and white answer for that.
Okay, so Schneider will never tell a driver you need to stop because you've hit X amount of miles. It's really based around the hours.
It's based around the hours and the driver's fatigue. Anytime that our drivers are not feeling well rested or they feel tired, we always say that they're the captain of their ship. They are free to stop when they are tired.
Okay, good to know. So what happens exactly if a driver were to violate the hours of service rules?
So say a driver is over on either the 11, the 14, the 70-hour rule, and they're pulled in for inspection. Depending on the rule that they're in violation of, they will be put out of service and required to either take a 10-hour break or maybe take a 34-hour restart. 10-hour break is the more likely.
Sure. So my last question for you is, isn't the FMCSA proposing an hours of service rule change in the near future?
They are. So actually the comment period just ended on October 21st. They're proposing 5 different changes. We have those out on one of our blogs if you're interested in what those 5 are. I think the key is it's a proposal. We still need the final rule. The final rule will likely not publish until 2020. And then it will likely come with either a 6 or a 12-month implementation period. So it's a while before we're actually going to see new hours of service in the industry. But they are looking at it. They're listening for driver feedback, and they are trying to accommodate some flexibility into the rules.
Okay, so just kind of to wrap this all up, safety first and always is a core value at Schneider. So how important is it for Schneider drivers to follow these rules and regulations?
Yeah, so we put a lot of effort into the hours of service. We equip them with technology that not only tracks the hours of service, but alerts them when they're approaching an hours of service limit so that they can proactively find safe parking, make sure that they're somewhere safe for that 10-hour break.
Awesome. So again, I'm Morgan, and I'm here with Andrea Sequin, the Director of Compliance at Schneider. Schneider drivers, if you have any questions about the hours of service, just talk to your driver leader. Otherwise, if you're interested in a truck driving job, you can reach us at 844-PRIDE or text chat to 28000.